Hello everyone, this is a short video for those who suffer from health anxiety. So those sort of nasty what ifs that occur from time to time, often for people who may be under a bit of stress, pressure around what if that headache is something worse? What if that constant pain behind the eyes is maybe a tumor? What if that spot is something worse? Is it a cancer? If that pain in the stomach, what if that's something wrong with my bowels? Or what's that heart murmur? Is it a heart attack? Or that heart palpitation? Is it a heart attack? So these can be really debilitating because what happens is they can come in at any time and it's very, very difficult to get any certainty from them. And they can cause a lot of worry and obsession over times. We often hear the unhelpful term that's associated with these anxieties around hypochondria or people being hypochondriacs, so worried about nothing. And the good news for most people is that they are actually indeed worried about nothing, but that doesn't help the suffering or help them do anything about it in the moment. So what's going on here is that this is just another manifestation of normal anxiety. And it's really important for those suffering from them to understand that these thoughts, these worries about this thing, this symptom, it could just be a thought that's happened when they see an advert on TV around getting your skin checked, around Panadol, around some other medical thing, might be something completely unrelated that you can't even attach the trigger to that what if thought about some health issue or health worry. Um, is to really understand that it is just anxiety. So we're actually worrying about how we feel in relation to the thought, not necessarily worried about something that has any necessarily objective basis in fact. If we are unable to ever separate out the anxious thoughts around a worry from the worry itself, it does make it very difficult to cope with. So that's what video is about, to really help demystify, understand, and explain what happens with these health anxieties and give you some sort of tool or method to be able to cope with the thoughts when they come up. And so the reason why these feelings can be so potent, someone can be so sure that, oh, gee, that heart palpitation, maybe that is a heart attack, and we know that something like 50% or over 50% of people going to emergency with a heart worry, the emergency department of a hospital with a heart worry is purely for panic or for anxiety because of these sort of anxiety-induced heart palpitations. So the first thing to do is for anyone who is worried about anything is to go to your GP at some point and just get a general health check because what we need to do is establish a baseline. And just to do a general health check without any panic, without any urgency, just to establish your baseline. That can be a really useful foundation to give you some confidence that, right, at this point in time, I've done the check. I've done the check and I know that everything is okay. So once you've done that, then it's a lot easier to work with the anxieties that come up. So the first thing to understand is that if you've been under pressure, you've been stressed, you've been busy, there's lots going on, your nervous system or your flight or fight response is active. And so it's primed to worry about stuff. It's primed to treat any worrying thought as a physical threat because over the years, perhaps we've told our body, our system to turn on the flight or fight response, to be on high alert, to look out for threats. So any niggle worry you see an ad on TV about getting a health check for some medication, whatever it might be, then you're primed to get involved in it. Of course, we're coming out of last 2, 3 years of the pandemic where we're all heightened around fear, around viruses, bacteria more than ever before. So we're all extra heightened. So there's more nervous tension and adrenaline in the system to fuel that negative thinking or worry to get involved in these thoughts. So for those who experience this, it's completely normal in the circumstances if your nervous system's been under pressure for a long period of time. What we often do, though, however, is we mistake our feelings, so feeling like there is something seriously wrong, for something actually being wrong. And the tricky thing with this, and this is why it can be hard to manage, is that so many anxiety symptoms replicate actual physical health problems. So a heart palpitation can be a really harmless thing for anxiety. You can get tension, burning sensations all over the body that people worry about. You might get um, and scalp headaches, which can just be the scalp muscles retracting. You can get blurred vision, which is a very common normal symptom of anxiety as well, but can be very distressing. Short-term memory loss can be a normal symptom of anxiety, and people worry that they've got Alzheimer's or dementia setting in. So there's so many different worries, and 99% of the time they're just anxiety, which is why it's important to do that baseline health check to give yourself some comfort. And then we can start to, really self-assess and go, right, I have these worries. They're just anxiety. Even if there was something that you needed to get sorted physically, maybe you are experiencing a health challenge, it's still important to separate out the worries about it from the actual health challenge. So we can start to then deal with the what ifs, start to let them be there, not fight them, use muscle relaxation techniques, slow, deep breathing around these worries, which I talk about in other videos, just so we know that, right, my system's wound up, my nervous system's been under pressure, it's looking for things to worry about. I'm just going to slow down, do some deep breaths, and just give myself permission not to get involved in the thoughts while they're there. And what we have to do is try and then deal with the worries in one category, and then wait till we calm down, we feel a bit calmer, and then we can decide if any action needs to be taken around the anxiety, around this health concern that we have. Sometimes it will be, but most of the time, no action will be taken because when the adrenaline subsides, the stress hormone relaxes, or those symptoms calm down, and there's no more worry fuel in the system, it's a lot easier to get perspective. Oh, this is just another headache. That spot looks fine. Oh, that stomach issue's just dissipated. I know what that is. It's just when I get a bit tense. And so then we can relax and we all remember certain times not that these worries aren't as potent as they feel at other times. And we know that we can then start to see through the bluff of anxiety while still taking action in a calm, confident way when we want to. We still may book an appointment to see someone at some point, but we're not doing it with this fear-fueled panic that can consume us. So what we have to do again is to learn to deal with the panic, the anxiety through the ways I've just described, and I do other videos on this to understand the stress response to calm that down. So that's the tactical method we can use, but we also have to think about, generally speaking, what else are we doing in life? Are we taking our breaks? Are we doing exercise? Are we eating well? Are we sleeping well? To also, from a foundational level, start to calm the nervous system down. So if you see some triggering ad on TV, a thought, whatever it might be about some health anxiety, or you get a bit of a flutter in the system, some sort of tension, you're not so reactive to it. So again, these are all normal. Um, these labels of hypochondria are really unhelpful because the feelings feel really real. We're just trying to understand them so we can deal with the feelings and then only take action in calmer moments because we know that the body is actually really tough. Our immune systems are strong. That's why we recover so well from so many colds, viruses, bacteria. But what happens in the heat of the moment, we think our body is actually really fragile. We must go to the doctor straight away. We must act urgently. The body is a lot stronger than we think. Your nervous system is tough. It's been through many things before and recovered and been fine. So it's important to remind ourselves of that. If there is a health challenge we need to address, we can do it in calmer moments. Racing to the doctor, every 2 seconds won't necessarily help it. We can just give ourselves permission to let the nervous system or the flight or fight calm down, and then we can decide to make that calm, positive choice to then go get something checked out if we need to. But we're doing it without all those heightened anxieties in tow. So look, I hope that makes sense. It's a tough one to experience. The other thing to think about is to really understand your physical symptoms. Go through them all, look them up. What are our anxiety symptoms? So that when the heart flutters a little, when you get a lump in the throat, tension behind the eyes, blurred vision, you're aware of all your symptoms and have a better chance in the heat of the moment of, having a bit of a worry or a bit of an anxiety attack, a panic attack. You're able to at least go, this could just be an anxiety symptom. If you've thought about them before, you've looked them up, you can go, okay, so this doesn't mean necessarily that something is seriously wrong from a health perspective. And so that knowledge is really important, that positive knowledge, avoiding Google when we're stressed. So doing this work again when you're calm. So again, I hope that helps. It's just a starting point. I wanted to address it because it's coming up a lot in the coaching sessions I'm doing. So I hope as a starting point that gives you a bit of confidence to deal with these worries as they come up and then learn to take action in a positive way. I wish you all the very best. And if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments below.